My name is Law Nation, LAW Nation. We're going to talk about the press conference, right? Uh, Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys media. Shout out to all of those guys that they had out there. Shout out to Michael Irvin, the playmaker, Nate Newton. Hey, this particular team is second to none as it relates to media presence. Let me repeat, this particular team is second to none as it relates to media presence because they got a chance to reach out to current players and former players and had the actual talk track with Jerry Wayne Jones and Stephen Jones. The contract even brought your boy up there, Dak Prescott, to talk and give his state of, I guess, the team or what have you, and due to the social injustice and stuff like that. It was a great situation. We learned, we got some understandings of what the coach's philosophy was or what have you, or is basically. I pretty much like the way everything was orchestrated, right? So with that being said, Cowboy Nation, when we look at, I got my notes, man. I got my notes right here, and starting it off on the front end, they said Joe Looney. Joe Looney will be the starting guy as it relates to the center play. We all know we will miss Travis Frederick. We know this Travis Frederick was one of those guys that brought a lot to the table. Unfortunately, he retired soon. He retired too soon for us, basically, because we got so used to having him in that role, in that position. I think throughout his whole entire career, he never gave up more than 5 sacks in his whole entire career. That's something crazy, huh? That's a crazy number. And he will be missed. But football is next man up. Next man up, next man got to show us what he can bring to the table. And exactly, this is what we are able to see. So with that being said, Cowboy Nation, that was the first part. And the second part was Cowboys planning on having, in my notes, they planning on having fans in the stadium. Is that a bad thing, Law? Is that a great thing, Law? Is that a harmful thing, Law? Should we be careful with this law? Well, according to the CDC guidelines and things like that, Jerry Wayne Jones is saying he's going to stay within the confines of those guidelines, right? And his stadium is so massive and so huge that it may not be that much of an impact, especially since you can pop the roof open and things like that. So as long as it's 50% capacity, I think still 57,000 people can fit in there. That's crazy, huh? So that's what he was talking about on that topic there. Shout out to him, because we got to really figure out what this team can do when these type of situations arise, right? So with that being said, the other thing that we got to bring up will be this right here. The Stephen Jones situation. Everybody knows that Stephen Jones is more of I'm a hard-nosed guy. I'm not going to bend. Remember, in the early 90s, when we had the opportunity to get Deion Sanders, it was Stephen Jones that was saying, hey, I don't want him. It's going to be too much money. Jerry was the one that said, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to put the Johnny Walker Blue down, and I'm going to go out there and get prime time for your mind. And he went out there and grabbed prime time for those situations. But I will say this, Cowboy Nation. I will say this. It's good to be cautious. It's good to be conservative with your coins, especially when you never know what the future holds, right? So I do like the mixture of Stephen Jones and Jerry Wayne. It's just the fact that sometimes we be looking at it like, hey, don't spend too much. That's from Jerry's side. And then from Stephen Jones' side, look, don't be too ultra conservative. You got to wheel and deal better. You got to figure out ways to make this thing happen. So that is what it is. Business is business. And also, with all my notes right here, I have this right here, Cowboy Nation. Healthy team wins. What do they mean about that? What do they mean about healthy team wins? What do they mean about the fact that these teams are out here and you need to have somebody to be healthy in order to win? Well, it means just this right here. The bubble of the bubble. Just bear with me, Cowboy Nation. I am live, so give me a few seconds here. Let me pull up this thing right quick. The bubble within the bubble is this right here. When we think about the Dallas Cowboys, if you're healthy, they say you're wealthy, right? But with that being said, if you can figure out ways to also be healthier than the next guy across from you, then guess what? You can win games. So by them, I guess, orchestrating the at the Omni or what have you, having the players being there. What's up with your NHD? I can see your content now. For a second, I wasn't able to see you guys' comments, but I can see them now. So bear with me while I set this up. Shout out to you, Albert Smith. Really appreciate you for tuning in to the nation. All right, so what's happening here is that I think that I don't know who actually orchestrated. It could have been the quarterback. It could have been Dak Prescott. It could have been somebody. It could have been a whole committee of the players that said, okay, we need to figure out how to orchestrate or get all of things together so that we can be on the top of this situation as it relates to, number one, being healthy. Number two, being everybody in the same spot. Number three, making sure that we hold people accountable. By us being down here in Dallas, we got the Omni right here. Beautiful hotel, beautiful establishment, right? So why? Let's not sully and denigrate this. Let's go ahead and work these things out. And I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that's what they did. They did just that. So they got together. I think 90% of the team, they're working out at the Omni. That was the other talking piece right there. The other thing was this right here. What they brought up and they talked about as relates to this press conference was the biggest change. Change, everybody knows that when you bring in new coaching staff and you bring in new philosophies, there's a growth situation. There's a part that when you look at it and you say to yourself, how can I pick up this stuff? How can I understand what they're talking about now? It's a whole different language. I even heard earlier in the day that was Michael Irvin was talking about. The changing aspect of it. Of the offense when he went to the Pro Bowl or what have you, it was West Coast. And he said his boy, Troy Aikman, was like, hey, you got to pick up this stuff. And he said, man, I don't know these plays. It's too hard for me to know. So he said, you know what? I'm going to still give you the numbers opposed to the other stuff that they use as it relates to West Coast. But that's valuable. That's continuity. That's chemistry, right? But I will say within the confines of that is that Mike McCarthy is trying to bring in some football sense to the matter because change is good at times. And if you can get your boys, your star key players to pick up this situation as it relates to this new coaching staff, it's a plus. It's a win-win situation. Here's what my guy Albert says, man, I really appreciate you. He says, Law, I hope all is well with you and your family. I appreciate your hard work. That you get out to us, Dallas Cowboys content. Really appreciate you, Albert. Really appreciate you so much for commenting on that. Here's the thing. This what we doing right here is all about passion, love. It's a hobby for me. It's something that I do on my spare time, my free time, and it seems like I got a lot of time. So why not I speak my mind and talk about these Dallas Cowboys, right? So with that being said, social injustice was the sixth topic that we're going to talk about. And we got to talk about it just briefly. I'm not going to gloss over it or anything, but this is what Jerry Wayne Jones was pretty much saying. It's grace. I want grace. I want people to understand grace. He didn't throw no mercy in there, but I was like, man, this dude trying to take us to church, right? But he was saying grace. If we can just have grace. And I'm thinking that he's coming from the aspect of saying that, hey, I have a long enough track record. I have a long enough time so that you guys can see that sometimes I give too much grace to my players or I give too much mercy to some people out there. And what he was saying is that basically understand that everybody come from different walks of life. I can't sully and denigrate a person who can't grow facial hair just opposed to somebody who don't have, live in a certain situation. We can't just go around as people, especially as Americans, to start pointing the finger. Because when you point the finger, you got three pointed back at you, right? So what Jerry Jones is saying is that, look, just because somebody have a different view, a different opinion, give them grace. But also, at the same time, let us being able to have an open dialogue to say, hey, This is the reason why this is affecting me. Or this is the reason why I disagree with you with those type of terminologies. Or this is the reason why I agree with you and I disagree with that person. Let's have a little grace and a little mercy, right? So in the same thing, in the same breath, Jerry Jones said this. He 100%, I got it in my notes. He said it. He 100% back his players. Let me repeat, he 100% back up his players. So that's an amazing thing. Ain't nothing wrong with this, law. Continue doing your thing. Really appreciate you, Albert, man. Really appreciate you. Don't forget to post and put down where you guys are from. I always love to hear that. I always love to see that as well. Also with that, Dak Prescott spoke on those same terms. And pretty much some of the questions that they was giving Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and Mike McCarthy was kind of rhetorical questions that we already went over through the late night hype and throughout, this whole entire offseason. And I would tell people this all the time. When we think about this football life and we think about how this football is and how we come from different walks of life and how we come from different backgrounds and beyond, the reality of it is that sports, believe it or not, unifies people. Believe it or not, it does. And by us going through this virus situation, going through these trials and tribulations throughout this whole entire world, right? You have some people that forgot about just the core, right? Or the unity part of it. But what happened here is that Toby and John may not like a certain color, right? But they both like the Cowboys, or they both like a certain basketball team. And they can agree on that. That's crazy, right? But they come from different walks of life. They might get at fisticuffs about a color, but they like the exact same team. And that's what unified people. And then they say, well, you know what? Fuchsia is not that bad after we're rooting for the same team. And then they can be able to see each other on the same plane, right? LA, but moving to Dallas soon. This is from Dylan. Shout out to you, Dylan. Get down here in Dallas. It's nice. It's beautiful. Wonderful location. Wonderful scenery. Wonderful sight. All right, so this football year, this Dallas Cowboys season, I think that it's a unique season, regardless of how people try to twist it and say, well, if we start the season and we end the season, how would the draft be? Or if we win the Super Bowl, or if we go all the way and do all of those glorious things, will it be an asterisk in these sorts? No, all we got to do is continue to do our job, continue to learn and pick up the playbook, continue to try to better our best, and then we get out there. If we so happen to win it all, it's just kudos to us, right? It's all kudos to us. DFW from Albert Smith. Yeah. Shout out to the DFW. That's always a nice place to be at, in the DFW. And we got so many things. I'm just trying to get this thing back over to the chat over here. Really appreciate those that's on my Facebook group as well. I'm not able to see your comments, but if you guys are commenting, I will review them once the video is over with. This is a live stream. So I will say this, though, Cowboy Nation. Looking at everything they said in those course of 2 hours or more, right? I can say one thing. I still love the fact that as far as the media coverage, second to none. Bills don't get this, right? The Miami Dolphins don't get this type of garner of attention. No other team. The Giants, for crying out loud, they don't have these type of press conferences where we can go back and talk to some of our legends and get their opinions and their thoughts on this team, right? And on top of that, we are in a situation whereas, man, all of this stuff can gel together. All it takes is just a few more clickings of time. On top of that, Cedarian Lamb, he's already been working out with Prescott. Prescott think that he got unbelievable talent. He can't wait to really see him out there or what have you on the actual game. I think that also they talked about the nature and the reason why he built a football stadium or field in his backyard, which is cool because a lot of times you do what you love to do. Shout out to you, Daryl. I can see a comment now, man. Really appreciate you. He says DC for life on the Facebook group. See, persistence, man. At first, it wasn't popping up. It wasn't showing any of the comments. Now I can see them. Really appreciate you, Daryl. Really do, man. Daryl Claiborne, right? So here's the situation, Cowboy Nation. I just want people to do this. Those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. It's good to have different thoughts. It's good to speak objectively, right? It's also good to have your self-truths. But I'm telling people this right here. Do not think for what I say out here that I'm all in my feelings or I'm all saying that I know everything, that I know what's going to actually happen this year. No, these are just my opinions. And the same law that you see on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram will be the same law you see in real life. For those who know me personally, they will say, yeah, there's no way around it. The way I'm talking to you now is the way I'm talking to you in person. So that's just how it is, and that's the real deal, Holyfield. I want people to know this too. These people that's out here playing this particular sport, at the end of the day, it's a game. Game. It's a game. They put this game, just like Deion Sanders said, and although I think that they caned him, gave him the boot at the NFL Network, hey, but he was speaking the truth with substance. That's what he was saying on his Twitter page, truth with substance. This sport, although it probably was at the wrong time for him to spit his mind out there, right? But this sport will be here with you or without you. That's just the reality. That's how this world is. The craziest thing on my video before it started freezing up, my earlier video this morning, I was telling people that, hey, this world will chew you up and spit you out. It will. A lot of times people will look at it and say, well, no, this is supposed to happen. I'm supposed to get that. No, this world don't care about that. It will flat out chew you up and spit you out. Everything that we need to know is about the animal kingdom, right? I know people say, wait a minute, we just above animal kingdom. No, it's the reality, survival of the fittest. And I love the fact that today they put the healthiest team wins, the survival of the fittest. How you can sit back and say to yourself, I'm going to get a collective group of my body of people and put them in one defined location and try to still work out, passing the ball, try to make sure that everybody's speaking the same language as it relates to communication. And if we can be on the same page, then week 1 we'll win. Week 2 we'll win. But it all counts today. You guys hear people all the time, right? That's right, Kieran. Really appreciate you. Johnson, appreciate you too, as always, from Inez. Kim, really appreciate you. DC for life. Here's the craziest thing. A lot of times when people host a Lombardi trophy at the end of the year, right, they say, what made you guys play on the same page? Or what happened to you guys to be in this particular fight for the whole entire year? Oftentimes during the off season, believe it or not, there have been a big fight, or there have been a big disagreement, or there may be a big bonding situation. And they take that situation and it propelled them throughout the entire year. I recall, although they didn't win the Super Bowl, but I think it was Josh Norman. He got into the face of Cam Newton. Let me know if I'm lying. And they got into a fisticuffs. They said, whoa. At the time, Josh Norman was pretty much, a 5th round or a 6th round draft pick or what have you. And they said, what the world is he doing fighting the quarterback who was drafted in the 1st round, right? People was looking at it from those perspectives. But what they did was they took that same tenacity, they took that same energy, and it propelled them to play with a little chip on their shoulder throughout their entire year. Oftentimes, it can be right here during this off season is where these players bond at and where these players grow real strong attachments. Even when I was listening, I didn't put this down in those notes, but I'm getting a recall now. Even Michael, the playmaker Irvin, right? He said week one of the training camp, or day one basically. They had those pads on, you know, and they were walking in, and all he heard was that click clack, click clack. And he said, wait a minute, this is day one? That means the expectations were already set, meaning that you're not going to come up in here and lay down and sip on Mai Tais and work a few hours and go back to your room. No. There's sweat equity. There's people playing for their livelihoods out there. And there's people that are trying to earn their grain of salt or earn their way. So that's why I like the way this whole situation is right now. Minus the COVID, but I will say this. The unity and the bond that those boys are gathering together, woo, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. I'm telling people all the time, that is going to be a special, unique situation, and I can't wait for all of this stuff to go through and get everything going in the right direction. Cowboy Nation, it's been a wonderful time talking to you guys. Stay in California. This is from Proud King, talking to some people. Proud King, have him to come to Dallas Cowboys. Come to the Dallas Cowboys land. Don't tell this dude to stay in California, because when we play a game on Sunday, we need for all of the Cowboy fans to be here, right? Making some noise. So if he's going to bring some noise, let him bring that noise, bring that heat. Yes, indeed, Cowboy Nation. So I went over all of my entire lists on the press conference. I'll give it probably a B+. It could have been a little bit better. But outside of that, I love what I was able to hear. Post me your thoughts. Post me your concerns down below. Don't forget to check out my videos. And if you love this content, hit that like button. Share this content. Let a friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboy Sports Talk and beyond. I'm on iTunes. I'm everywhere. Instagram, you name it, you can claim it, right? I'm there. And also on Twitch, Twitter, and as well as Periscope. So really appreciate everybody for supporting this thing and supporting this channel. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's go.